Are you wanting to start a crochet business but have no idea where to start? Or you've started but you're thinking, I think I missed out on some things. I have a lot of questions. If you have questions about growing a crochet business in 2026, let's sit down and have a crochet business chat. Welcome. My name is Pam Grice. I'm the Crochetpreneur. I'm on a mission to help 100,000 makers build financial freedom through crochet. If that's you, welcome. I'm happy to have you here. We're going to have a nice chat today. I'm going to answer your questions about starting a profitable crochet business in 2026. So, what do we need to know? Like this video so people can find it. Subscribe if you're a crochet business owner and you haven't subscribed yet, and leave a comment. If you're here watching live, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section, and I will come back at the end and answer any of your questions that you have. I do have a hard stop at the top of the hour, so this won't be any longer than an hour. Hopefully it won't be quite that long. But I'm going to get started. All right, so I have my coffee, I have my water, I might as well open it. We know we're going to need that. Okay, so let's just get into it. All right, I'm going to post the questions on my little bar underneath here and then answer them for you. So first one is, can you actually make money with a crochet business? This is sort of the foundational question that people need to come to grips with. If you come into starting your crochet business with the belief that it's not possible, you've already sabotaged yourself. So let's take a look at what's true. There are thousands of people, whether they're product sellers or pattern sellers, making thousands of dollars a year, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in the crochet industry, whether they're, like I said, makers or designers, service providers, course creators, teachers, right? If they can do it, it is possible. And so whether you're struggling, if you're struggling, know that there are things you can do to fix that. And I think that's the most important thing, is to actually believe it so that you can operate from that place of people have done it, people are doing it, and if they can do it, I can do it too. If you are in the place of everybody on Facebook says it's not possible, everyone says people don't pay for handmade products, etc., then you're going to operate from that place and you're going to sabotage your own success. So let's not do that. Yes, it is possible to make money with crochet. It's a fact. Let's believe it. All right, so we're going to operate from that framework today. So the next question is, how do I know if my idea will sell before I spend weeks making inventory? Well, that's an interesting question. And I think a lot of people go about this really backwards, where they make a bunch of inventory and then they try to sell it. And what happens is they've created a bunch of things that nobody wants. Typically, this happens a lot. And so I don't want this to happen for you. What I want you to do is look at it the other way of saying, who do I want to sell to? Excuse me. And what are they buying? Okay, so if you can see, my audience really loves winter fashion accessories. That's my audience, okay? My audience really loves winter fashion accessories. So I'm going to create on-trend, unique, or high quality products that my particular customers that I want to work with are going to buy. So knowing who you're selling to and then building out your product line to meet their needs and to answer their sort of pain points is going to help you to know that your products will sell. And then you do market research, get in groups where your ideal customer hangs out, ask them, do you like this or do you like this? Ask them questions like that, where you can start to break down, or you can ask them questions of like, what was the last fashion accessory you purchased and what did you love about it? Those kinds of things. And then start with small drops. If you sort of go on Facebook and share a product and people are interested, then likely more people will be interested. If you, this is for designers, if you do a call for pattern testers and nobody wants to test your pattern, the likelihood of that pattern selling is minuscule. All right, because you're saying you can get this pattern for free, and everyone's like, no, thank you. Recognize that as an indication that that pattern probably won't sell. And it's the same thing for physical products. If you put a product out there and everyone says, no, thank you, don't keep making that product. You want to create products that create buzz and that you can create marketing language around, that you know why the customer wants it and why they need it and how it will make their life better. And you use those things in your marketing. Pre-sale, taking orders for things, all of those things will help you not create inventory that's going to sit on your shelf and not sell. I might sneeze. I apologize. Excuse me. It's cold here. Okay. So that's how do I know? Market research, doing some testing, talking to your ideal customer, and really watching the analytics of your products. Excuse me. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, next question is, this one I get all the time. Can I sell finished items made from someone else's pattern? Short answer, yes. You can sell anything you make. Longer answer, it depends on where your designer is from and what they have specifically said. So in the US, the designer has no control over what you do with your finished product. Even if they say you can't sell the finished product, they don't really have the legal right to do that. However, there is some sort of implied contractual consent if they told you ahead of time and you still purchased it and you sold it. I don't see anybody pursuing those sorts of legal actions, but they might. So I do have a podcast all about this topic that I can link in the comments afterwards. If the designer is not in the US and they're in a country where the designers do have legal rights over the finished product that someone creates from their pattern, then no, you can't sell the product. Even if you're in the US and they're in the UK, designers do have say over what happens to your finished product. So just recognize that. And a thought on this is, if there is someone in the US who technically does not have legal right to tell you what you can and can't do with their pattern as far as your finished product that you make, but they say you can't sell the finished product, I would just listen to that and go find a different pattern. Only because it just feels like a negative energy exchange. Like they're saying, like, even if it's because they're operating out of a scarcity mentality and they're fearful of competition, or they don't want you to create a product and then undercut their prices. There's a lot of those kinds of concerns. If that's their concern, like, fine, let them have that concern. We know from looking at what happens in the industry that when someone creates a pattern that they do allow people to sell from, and people like that pattern and they buy it and they make it and they sell it, that pattern grows and the designer actually makes more money than they would of making the physical product and selling it. So that's just sort of the natural pattern. I'm thinking particularly of the, what is the name? Mabel Chicken and things like that. So where everyone who's selling wants that particular pattern, and that pattern designer ends up selling thousands and thousands of that pattern. So yeah, just do what feels right to you. But if someone asked you not to sell it, I wouldn't. That's just me. Okay. Next question is, excuse me. What about trademarked characters like Disney, etc., etc.? I hear a lot of time from people that say, well, other people are selling those things on Etsy. They are. And just because someone's doing something wrong doesn't mean you should do something wrong as well. So if you want to take a risk to have Disney or Marvel, or this is all Disney really, Disney or any other company, The Simpsons or Minecraft, whoever designs that, come after you because you are creating products from their trademark characters, that's not a risk I would be willing to take in my business, and I don't think it's a smart business decision. Even though, sure, you might get more sales, you're still doing something wrong. And I think that will come back to bite you in the end. A, not just because you're taking a risk for your business, but B, because you're telling the world, hey, I have no integrity, right? And if that hurts your feelings, sometimes the truth hurts. So don't sell trademarked items. Just don't. It's not that hard. We're all here because we're creatives, and be creative. Design something yourself. Create demand for characters that you create, that you invent out of your own head. Yesterday, I saw an entire thread on Threads of someone who is creating all of these trademark infringing items, and then she's upset because someone else is copying her patterns. And I'm like, you can't have it both ways. You can't ask for a world that operates from integrity when you are not operating from integrity. It just doesn't work that way. So if you want to operate in a world that has integrity, you have integrity and you lead the way. Okay. All right. Design your own stuff. You're a creative. You're an artist. Okay, next is, do I need a business license and how do taxes work? So it is going to be different depending on where you live. So your locale will inform what this needs to look like, whether you're in the United States or you're overseas in another country, or even different counties in the US have different rules. So what I suggest you do is first, contact your local small business administration. They have free resources for you. They have people whose job it is to help you get this right. And so I would suggest contacting them first. They're happy to help you. It's what they do. It's why they're there. And they will help you make all of those decisions. And then as far as how do taxes work, there are people who will help you do this. So I am not an accountant. I'm not a bookkeeper. But the Yarny bookkeeper, she will help you. And also Paper and Spark is another resource of people who specifically help those in the creative handmade industries to manage their finances. So I would check in with them, find first their free resources, opt into maybe some of the things that they teach, and they will help you get that right. All right. Do I need an LLC right away? So no. Eventually, I think that it's really wise to get an LLC if you're a business owner or an S Corp. I'm an S Corp. I have several businesses, so I have sort of an umbrella corporation where all those businesses live under as DBAs. But with an LLC, you're protecting your personal property as far as I understand. Again, I am not an accountant or a lawyer. But an LLC will protect your personal assets. So let's say you are making baby items and you're not getting them safety tested, and so they're not compliant with the safety standards. Someone gets injured and now you're getting sued. You want to protect your personal property, like your home and your automobiles and your 401k or whatever. So having an LLC creates a separate business entity where your finances and your business assets are separate from your personal assets. And that's just a really smart move to make once you start making money and making sales. So you can look into that. It's not very expensive. You can do it yourself online, or you can get the help of an attorney or an accountant to do that for you. All right. This one I get all the time. All right. How do I choose a business name? Listen, this is one of those things that people get stuck here because it's an easy place to get stuck. I can't think of a business name. I can't move forward, right? This is where people allow their fear of moving forward and their fear of failure. It gives them a good excuse to stay stuck. And so I don't want you here. I want you to, in a matter of days, from when you decide to start a crochet business, in a matter of days, I want you to have a business name. You can always change it and rebrand later. Using something like Name Checker. I think it's namechecker.com. Let me look. I wrote it down the other day. Hang on. Yeah, namechecker.com will help you find out if that name is available in all the different places. Personally, I don't like Susie's Crochet. I don't like that because it's so forgettable. And if you're selling physical products, crochet just doesn't quite hit with your audience. So thinking about your niche and those kinds of things. Anyway, I have a whole blog post and a whole podcast all about this. But pick something that resonates with your audience. Think of crochet businesses that you connect with and what are their names. Think of something memorable, but just think of something and move forward. So how do I choose? Pick something. That's how you choose. Just pick something. If it's available, then go for it. All right. I know that's probably not the answer. I know you would love a formula of like your birth month and your first pet's name. Sure, if you want to do that. June Tiggy. That's my business name. So, and you just have to do it. All right. What crochet items sell best? I see this in Facebook groups all the time. I'm gonna go check comments real quick. Okay. I do see that you have questions, so I'll come back there afterwards and answer your questions. And I know I see this flashing. For those of you who are here live or watching on replay, I see this flashing on my screen. I think maybe there's a problem with my camera. I'm not really sure, so I'm going to have to explore that. See, it just did it again. I don't know what that is. So I apologize for that. Anyway, what crochet items sell best? This is totally dependent on who you're selling to, where you're selling, and what your niche is. It really is going to depend on your marketing. So for some people who are selling Ami, their bumblebees sell like crazy. However, if you're at a craft fair and there's 7 people selling bumblebees, they're not going to sell like crazy. And so recognizing there are nuances in all of these things, and part of your job as a business owner is to recognize how to figure this out, right? So figuring out what will my audience want to buy and how do I get my own best sellers, not what is selling best for someone else. Because there could be someone who says, oh, my bestseller is a crochet blanket. Well, I don't want to sell crochet blankets, especially when someone's charging $50 to $100 for a blanket that should sell for $400, right? So when you ask people what crochet items sell best, you're again operating from this place of looking for a concrete answer in a highly nuanced question. So go back to who am I selling to, what do they want, and how do I create things that they're going to want. Some of the niches that perform really well are baby items, but again, get them safety tested. Fashion accessories and especially blanket yarn stuffies sell really well. But do you want to sell what's trending, or do you want to stand out and be different, right? If you create something that's just like everyone else's, your business doesn't stand out. So asking people what sells best is going to put you in the space of oversaturation and having to compete on price with people who are selling the same thing. So it's not actually the best question. All right. Inside my program, we talk about asking better questions so that you can actually get answers that will move your business forward. Instead of, you could get answers to what crochet items sell best, but that answer is actually not going to help you. So let's ask different questions. Like, how can I create a crochet product line that my ideal customers will be climbing over each other to purchase? That's a better question. All right. Okay. Next question. Sorry, my neck's hurting. What's better for beginners? Finished items or patterns? If we're talking about beginning crocheters, neither. I don't want you to start a business as a beginning crocheter because starting a business and selling finished products takes skill that you don't have yet, typically. And so working on your crochet skills, being able to get the correct stitch tension, being able to get, if you're making ami, not having little holes everywhere and seeing the stuffing through it, understanding finishing techniques, all of those things take time and take skills. So take the time to develop those skills. If you're talking about a beginning business owner, what's better for a beginning business owner, finished products or patterns? It totally depends on what you want to do. So you get to choose. Both of them are viable business options. I do suggest that you pick one or the other to start with. If you want to be a product seller and a designer, pick one to start with. Get really good at that. Get known for something. Create your own voice and your own style, and then start designing. Or if you just want to be a designer, start there. I hope that helps. Okay. Next is, do I need to niche down? Now, I love niches. So, but a lot of people get stuck here as well because everyone wants to be a general practitioner. Everyone wants to do whatever they want to do. I want to do what I feel like and sell those things. And that's fine if you want to do that. Just recognize that there are some downsides to being a general practitioner. In that, most people want to go to a specialist when they're making purchases. For example, I could go buy, I don't know, what is the like Walmart clothing brand? I don't know. I could go buy a Walmart clothing brand bag. It's going to be cheaper. It's going to just be generic. It's going to be a Walmart bag. Or I could go buy a Kate Spade bag, right? Kate Spade is a specialist, right? So thinking about your ideal customer and how you want to stick out and what you want to be known for. But your product line doesn't have to be just one item. So you don't even have to just do home decor or even just do nursery items. You could have a wider range, whereas your niche is based off of your ideal audience. So if I say my ideal audience, this is my business. My ideal audience is fashionista moms who love Instagram and love to share what they're doing. And they love sort of aesthetic photos, and they love to show off their perfect life, right? So now I can create all sorts of items for them. I can create home decor. I can create items for their kids. I can do mommy and me stuff. I can do fashion accessories. I have a whole wide range of things I can do to meet their need to garner attention on Facebook through aesthetic photos and quality handmade items. So thinking of that being your niche, you're focusing on who your ideal customer is and creating your niche around that rather than I make home decor items or I make baby blankets. You have a wider range, so you get to decide. Do you want a micro niche as far as I make blankets or I make baby booties? Or do you want something bigger based off of an audience? It's totally up to you. I do recommend, though, that you get something that you can talk about specifically. So other than saying like, hey, I crochet everything for everyone. If you want anything, let me know. It's going to leave people wondering if you're the person that they want to buy from. Instead of saying, hey, I make high-end baby layettes, perfect for baptisms or baby showers. Your gift will be the most talked about gift at the baby shower when you purchase from my little business, whatever, right? So that will stick with people more. I hope that makes sense. All right, how many products should I start with? I get this a lot from people who are selling on Etsy. So a lot of people will say like, oh, I have to build out my inventory before I can list anything. And that's actually not true. So I started my Etsy shop with one item. Yes, when you have more items and those items are varied and you have a sort of a product line, you can get found easier because you have more SEO, right? You have more keywords, you have more products, you'll be seen more. But that doesn't mean you can't start somewhere. And I started with one item. You can start with one item and gradually build, build, build. And every time you list an item, you learn more about how to create titles, how to create descriptions, what kind of photos you want to add, what kind of aesthetic you want your shop to have. So just get started with one. You don't have to do the like, oh, I need 25 items or I need 100 items, I've heard people say. Just start with where you're at, get something listed, and then move forward from there. Nobody can buy from you until you have something listed. So just get started and list something today, okay? Next, should I take custom orders? This is up to you. I think it's a good way to start your business is to take custom orders. And typically people are sort of desperate or really wanting to make sales in the beginning, and custom orders will make that more likely for you. But I would do it within a sort of framework. So what I've done in the past is I have sort of a base pattern, and then I have options for colors, embellishments, and sizing. So instead of people just saying like, hey, can you make this thing? Hey, I found this pattern online. Can you make this? I found this pattern online. Can you make that? Instead, you're giving them the framework of this is our product line, and you can customize it the way that you want it with your colors or your embellishments or whatever you want. And that way, you're not. This is a problem that a lot of people fall into is they say, oh, I'll make anything. I'll take custom orders. And then they say yes to projects that they don't know how long it's going to take them to make it. So they don't really know how to price it. And then they don't take payment up front because they don't know what the price is going to be. And then they end up stuck with a product that the customer has ghosted them. We don't want that for you. So have a framework for your products of what you can customize, and then have your pricing all set. Like you can get the base product for this much, and then if you customize it at this much, this is what the cost is, and then get your payment up front. If you're selling in person, I always take full payment up front plus shipping. And I know that a lot of people who sell in person say like, yes, I'll meet you, but you're not, I was going to say you're not considering, maybe you are, but when you meet someone, you're taking time, you're taking gas money, and you're sometimes can be putting yourself at risk, right? If you don't know that person, where are you meeting them? Are you letting them come to your house? That kind of thing. I prefer to be like, no, I'm not going to chase you down, to figure out where I'm going to meet you and get this thing to you. I'm going to ship it to you. So shipping costs X number of dollars. Figure all of that stuff out so when you're selling in person or you're selling online, you can just get the money up front, make the thing and ship it. And then it just will make your life so much easier. That's my advice. All right. Next is, how do I price crochet items so I'm not undercharging or overcharging? A lot of people get criticism for overcharging, and I rarely, if ever, see any crochet maker overcharging. So I don't want you to worry about overcharging. A lot of times it's undercharging because you're not your own ideal customer typically. So I do have a product pricing calculator. I recommend that you charge for your time or your yardage or your stitch count, whatever works best for you, plus your product supplies, plus markup, right? So putting all of those things into consideration. I do have, like I said, I have a product calculator. You can request yours down in the description. So in that calculator, you can decide, am I going to charge by the time it took me to make the thing? Am I going to charge by the yardage that I used? People will charge like a flat fee per yard of yarn, or they'll charge per stitch. So those are things you would have to calculate. But my calculator, you can put in the number of stitches or put in the yardage and then how much you want to charge per yard, and it will calculate out a suggested price for you, a base price plus a suggested retail and suggested wholesale pricing. So that's really helpful. All right. But what if I crochet slowly? This is why we charge by the yard or by the stitch. If you crochet slowly, someone who crochets a hat in an hour and you take 2 hours, should you then charge $15 more for that hat? No. So if you know that you crochet slowly, then charging by the stitch or charging by the yard is going to be a better pricing model for you. So you can explore that inside that calculator. Why do people keep telling crocheters no one will pay that? This is a pet peeve of mine. So they tell you that because they are operating from a scarcity mindset, and how dare you believe that you have that sort of value for your products, right? Charge whatever you want. People will pay. People will pay. There are people who are willing to pay what you need to charge in order to make yourself a profit and grow a profitable business. The struggle is that when people price their items, they then try to sell it to their family, who families are tricky. Sometimes they don't value those skills that you have, or they try to sell to people in their own community who maybe those people are not people who have a lot of expendable cash, right? So this is why building a business online is so helpful, because you can reach those people who have extra cash, who care about handmade items, who care about high quality, who care about branding, and they would be willing to pay you what you need to charge in order to make the money you need to make. So people tell you that because they want to keep you small, and that is a them problem. It's not a you problem. So you don't need to listen to them. So listen to people who believe in you and value you. And another piece of this is to be really honest. I have seen people on Facebook sharing things that honestly do not look sellable, and they're upset that people said they wouldn't pay whatever their price is. Well, I wouldn't pay that either, because that product is not a good quality product. And you, as a business owner, need to be focused on quality. You need to be your own biggest critic while also really believing in yourself. So again, it's a tricky combination, but be realistic about, are my products quality? When people say charge your worth, it's not about charge your worth as a human being. Charge what that product is worth and recognize when it is not quality, okay? I want you to be brutally honest with yourself, but also be your own best cheerleader. Does that make sense? I hope so. Okay. I've seen you tell people to stop asking, how much should I charge for this? What is a better question? So like I said earlier, I talk to my clients a lot about asking better questions. When you ask, what should I charge for this? You're totally giving up all of your power as a business owner. Like, you are a business owner. That means you get to make the decisions. And when you offload those sorts of decisions to an audience who doesn't know what you're dealing with, you're just relinquishing power. And again, it's one of those like fear strategies of like, how can I say stop, and how can I blame other people when my business fails, right? So a better question, instead of how much should I charge for this, is you could do market research and say, how much would you pay for this, right? And try and get some like real feedback, and say, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I want to know, if you went to a craft fair, when you looked at this, what would you be willing to pay? And then recognize that not every answer you get is going to be from your ideal customer. And this is just sort of market research, just checking. But also, using a formula will help you know, how much do I need to charge in order to actually make a profit? So if you can't balance what someone would pay with what you need to sell it for, then that item gets out of your product line. We don't sell that item, right? And then do some research on Etsy or other platforms to see what things are selling at, what are similar products selling for. And if they're selling for between $15 and $25. You could do mid-range. You could do high-end mid-range, depending on how your products fall into the marketplace. Okay. By asking in a Facebook group, how much would you charge for this? You're going to get all sorts of answers from people who would never buy from you in the first place. So if they're not willing to give you money for the thing, then they don't get to tell you what to charge. The end. That's my take on that. All right. Etsy versus craft fairs versus my own site. Where should I start? You should start wherever you want to start. Ultimately, again, you're the business owner. You get to decide. I really like, the natural progression that I would recommend is start at craft fairs so you get an idea of what kind of feedback you get from some in-person customers. How are people talking about your products? How can you then use that language as you talk about your products online? Then moving to Etsy. Etsy is where the customers are, and you can get your products up there, and provided your photos are good, your products are desirable, and your SEO is on point, people will find it. If you post things on Etsy and people are not buying them, it's either because your photos are not great, your SEO is not on the mark, or people don't want the item. So you need to figure out what it is that is keeping you from making sales. But, okay, craft fairs, Etsy, and then your own site. Once you build up an audience base, then you can have your own site and direct your traffic there, and then you don't have to worry about Etsy fees. But I feel like Etsy is a good starting point for people who don't already have an audience, because that's where the customers are. That's a suggestion. You can do what you want to do. I know a lot of people who skip over Etsy because they've heard from all of the people who are struggling and can't pay their Etsy fees because they haven't built a business properly. And then they get stuck in that. Etsy's not good. Etsy has issues. Etsy's not perfect, but you can definitely start a profit-making business on Etsy. All right. Next. Do I have to be on social media to sell crochet? You don't have to do anything. But if you want to make sales, you have to be somewhere. You have to get your products in front of eyes. If you're not going to do that on social media, where are you going to do that? And how are you going to do that? Are you going to run ads on Google? What are you going to do? How are you going to get in front of people? Honestly, if you are not on social media, I don't understand. So I don't do social media well. I'm not consistent. I struggle with it, but I still do it because it's the only place you will ever get free marketing. And there was a time in this world where businesses never, ever got free marketing. Like, you had to pay for your Facebook ads. You had to pay for your telephone book ads. Who remembers the yellow pages? You had to pay for every bit of advertising, every bit of visibility. And now you don't have to do that. Social media will give you free visibility. And so why are you not taking advantage of that? Yeah, it's work. This is a job. This is a business. It's going to be work, right? If you're afraid of work, then you're in the wrong business, and you should probably just go get a job for somebody else where you don't have to think about it. Am I being too harsh today? I'm sorry. Start a simple social media strategy. Share what you're doing. Get people interested in. Social media, unfortunately, is sort of 75% entertainment and 25% sales. That's sort of what it is. So just do your best and try and get your stuff in front of people. You could start a blog. You could have a YouTube channel. Those are other ways you can get visibility. You can do blog hops. You can do other things to get in front of people, but why not social media? It's free. All right. I have yet to hear a valid excuse. I don't have time. Then don't run a business. Business takes time. I need to take a chill pill. All right. How do you find customers without feeling salesy? So again, getting in front of people, but your job now is to be in marketing and to be in sales. So maybe just get over the feeling salesy part and recognize that sales is now your business. You have to make sales in order to run a business. And so how do I find customers? Serve them. Recognize where they are, build out a product line that they're interested in, and serve your audience. And I think that will help to not feel so salesy when you're being more servicey. But don't worry about being salesy. You'll get better and better at it as you practice. Just do it. It's okay. You're all right. Okay. How do I stand out when crochet feels saturated? Yeah, that's a big question. Be different. Stop chasing trends. Stop trying to look like everyone else. Find your own voice and be different. That's my simple answer to that question. I'm getting worried about time, so I'm rushing a little bit. How do I grow? How do I grow without turning crochet into misery? This can be hard because your business is actually right now, if you're a hobbyist, right? You start your business doing 90% crochet and maybe 10% of I'm selling stuff on Facebook or something, right? Once you're a real business, once you're actually making money and you have a strategy and a plan, you're going to be doing probably 80% admin work and 20% crochet if you're lucky. And that can become not so fun. And then crochet becomes pressure. And so really building your business around serving an audience that you love to connect with, and an audience you love to create for, is really going to be helpful. And then also recognizing, being self-aware and saying, what part of this crochet business really lights me up, and focusing on that. So like for me, it's serving people and it's serving you and it's helping you be successful. That's what makes me happy. And so, yes, I design, but that's not what lights me up, right? It's this part that lights me up. So I focus on doing this. And so when you find exactly what it is in your business that really lights you up, it's going to feel less like, it's still going to be work, but it's a little less like work. And recognize you will lose your crojo throughout time. You know, it's going to be a roller coaster. There will be days when you love it and you can't wait to sit down and crochet, and there's going to be days when it feels like a have to instead of a want to. And part of business is that you do the have tos even when you don't want to. And just recognize that. I think surrounding yourself with other people who are like, yeah, I get it. I've been there too. Let's just do it together. Maybe hop on a call. We can crochet together. And then getting over those humps is really important. What advice would you give someone who is just starting? A lot. You know, I have a lot of opinions and I have a lot to say. But what I really want to say is the biggest problem I see people facing is their lack of confidence, their lack of action taking, and they're like really giving into fear. So developing traits of resilience, of confidence, which is 100% a choice. Confidence comes from action, and a lack of confidence comes from inaction, right? We're telling ourselves over and over, this is going to be hard. I can't do this. People are going to make fun of me. People are going to judge me. People aren't going to want my stuff. All of those things come from you sitting and ruminating rather than taking action. You take action, you get success, you start logging your successes, and you start to feel more confident. Okay. So taking action, being courageous, again, surrounding yourself with people who are doing it so that you can stay motivated and stay inspired and stay in that belief that it's possible so that you can continue to build. Be willing to fail, be willing to experiment. All of these things are really going to help you develop a growth mindset. I know mindset is kind of a triggery word for people, but you really, it all happens in your brain before it actually happens in the real world. And so you have to get your head straight. And if you don't do that, you'll constantly be in that, like, giving up your power to people. Am I doing it right? Am I charging right? And then, receiving criticism from people about your pricing, or about, like, I could make that, and then internalizing that when it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them. Like, so building up your resilience muscles is, I think, the key to success. Everything else is experimenting, trying something, learning from it, analyzing it, trying something new, learning from it, analyzing it, trying something new. Like, doing that whole process is going to get you where you want to go. But if you don't get your head right first, you're always going to be in that questioning and not taking action and giving into fear space. So as a psychotherapist, this is my stance. And as a business owner who, is in the top 1% of Etsy sellers, or, has on a couple of different occasions made over $100,000 a year just with the crochet, you need to get your head straight. So if you need help with that, happy to help. If you need a coaching call, happy to do that. Get with people who are positive, solution focused, and inspirational to you. Get out of those groups where people say you can't do it. Get out of those groups where people say people won't charge you, it's oversaturated, people don't care, you can't do this, Etsy is the worst, you'll never be able to sell anything. Get out of those groups. You're sabotaging yourself. All right. Some things you can do today. You can go in the description, grab your handmade product pricing calculator. I do have a pattern pricing calculator as well. I should go grab that and give that to you. Grab your crochet business planner. I have yet to link that. I need to do that. I have a coaching call with someone in a little bit. I'll do it after that. Get on the wait list for the Crochet Business Summit that's coming up in March, where you can hear from, I think we're going to have 20 speakers or so. So get on that list, go to crochetbusinesssummit.com, sign up for the wait list so you can get your free ticket to that virtual event, and learn about the Crochetpreneur Business Academy. If you feel like I need support with this, I need help getting my head straight, I need step-by-step, learn about the Crochetpreneur Business Academy. I linked to one of our masterclasses below, and that should help get you where you want to go. Okay, I need to answer some questions. Let me look at your comments. Okay. How would you go about posting a pattern that you created? Well, I have an entire pattern launch strategy where social media, creating the PDF, putting it on Etsy, taking photos, getting it modeled, getting it tech edited, getting it tested, launching to your email list, launching on social media, all of those things. So that I would follow the process. If you need help with that, let me know. I can get you a link to my pattern launch plan. Can you talk more about target audience? I've created so many audiences I've wanted to sell, but still not sure how to sell to them. I might be overthinking it. Okay. So what I want you to do is, like, really ask yourself, who are the people that you know how they operate inside and out? So or who are the people who already love the things that you're selling? Who are your top customers? Okay. And then creating a sort of psychological breakdown of that person. I do have I can link this below as well later. Or you can go to crochetpreneur.com and then click on my everything page. And I have know your customers, make more sales, know your customers, something like that. And it's free. It's just a little worksheet that'll walk you through this. But figuring out who already loves your stuff or who you love to work with, and then really dialing in your product line and your marketing message around those people. So understanding like what sort of brands do they already love? What are their marketing messages? How can I really speak to them? Is going to make it so much easier for you. So for example, if I say my ideal customer is so somebody with money. So my ideal customer is a stay-at-home mom whose husband is a lawyer, and she wants to decorate her nursery for her kids in millennial beige, right? Because this was the trend. I think this is shifting, but so I'm going to create a product line. She's looking for sort of aesthetic kids beige decor for nurseries. Now I'm going to create an entire line, and I'm going to do all sorts of neutrals. So I'm going to do the baby blanket. I'm going to do some wall art. I'm going to do a rug. I'm going to do a pillow. I'm going to do some stuffies. I'm going to do some loveys. I'm going to do some booties and sweaters, right? All that go together for this mom. And she's going to be posting on Facebook. She's going to be posting it all over the places because, she loves your stuff. And then you can create it in multiple colorways in like a whole range of neutrals and get that out there. So I hope that, helps give you an idea of like when you hone in on your ideal customer, then you can say, what is their pain point or what do they want? What would bring them joy? And then create your product line around that. I hope that helps. Can you talk about branding? I created my logo. Should I trademark it? Should I use it with my shipping items? Yes, you should trademark. Not necessarily your logo, but definitely your business name. So indielaw.com is run by my friend Joey Vitale. I do have lots of information from him over on the Crochetpreneur blog, or I can give you some of that information as well. He can help with trademarks. This is how you protect your business, is through trademarks. And should I use it with my shipping items? Yes. You should brand everything. So I do have, let me see, I think I have some branding resources. I do have a course on branding. If you want information on that, just let me know. It's like a $50 course. It's not huge. It's not a huge expensive course. But yes, so your brand should be on your website. Your brand should be on your product labels. Your brand should be on stickers. Your brand should be on your thank you cards. Your brand should be on your, labels that you stick on your shipping products, or at least something that coordinates with your brand. I think it's important. It makes you look like a business. Yeah. Okay. All right, I have a coaching call with someone very shortly, so I'm going to run and go do that, and then I'll be back here this afternoon to add those links to the description as well. If you have any further questions, we just touched the surface today. There are so many questions that people have about starting their business, and I want to answer your questions. So if you have any more questions, put them in the description, or leave a comment. Leave a comment, and I will be back in the coming days to answer your questions in the comments. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for listening. Be sure, again, if you're a crochet business owner, to subscribe for crochet business tips and more. And sorry I was a little spicy today. I really just want you guys to be successful. And when I know so many people get stuck in their heads and have all these excuses of why they can't do it, and I just want to call BS on that. So I want you to be successful. I want you to have the business of your dreams so you can live the life of your dreams. And I don't want excuses. I want you to go do it. All right. Love you guys, and I will see you next week. Bye.